All right, guys, let's talk a little Cavaliers basketball. Yeah. It was a boring yet dominant win for the Cavaliers yesterday against a very much shorthanded 76ers team. James Harden in the game scored his 29,000th career point. 29,000 career points.
I don't know where that – I don't have context for that. It's not like baseball for me.
I think it's 8th all time.
With 29,000 points. Yeah. One of 11 players ever to reach that threshold. An incredible accomplishment for James Harden. As far as the game goes, they beat the Sixers.
What you mean? It was somebody that flashed yesterday.
My guy Keon
Ellis, baby.
And Dean Wade had a good game.
Had a jumper like this. Yeah. I was like, oh, cash him out, baby. Listen, if we can get that version of Keon Ellis on a night-to-night basis, not even a night-to-night basis, one and every other night, boy, the Cavs can make some noise happen. I mean, the man was on fire from the trade line yesterday. I was excited. The nice little steal, dished it up to get the assist. Hey, dude, all right, man.
Ty,
dude, all right.
Pre-game, I asked Kenny, said, hey, you've talked about Keon's defense, but where do you think he fits in offensively so far? What have you seen? And he said he's been okay. He's still trying to find his jump shot. He gave him a B for what he had done prior, and as soon as we get into the post-game last night, he's like, Mike, I was wrong. He got an A today. And Keon had his best game offensively as a Cavalier last night. He even showed off something that Kenny said he didn't know he had in his bag. He came off a down screen, got into the lane, and finished with a floater. And that surprised even his own head coach at this point, who's still kind of learning how to fit Keon best into this offense. And I thought Kenny said something that we could talk about for a second before we move on, because the game itself.
We got to give some credit to Dean Wade, who had a good game after December for the first time in his career.
Fourth career double-double. We'll get to Dean in a second, because Dean falls into this category. Kenny was talking about the depth they have on this roster and how these last 20 games are essentially an audition for the role guys to solidify their spot in the playoff rotation. And every practice, he said, every game, every opportunity that they are on the court, as long as they're healthy enough to be there, they need to be there, is these guys competing against each other, obviously in the context of trying to win basketball games, competing with each other to solidify a spot in the playoff rotation. If Dean does what he did last night, Bull,
which he won't,
he's a lock. If Keon Ellis does what he did last night, Keon certainly has a
Sam Merrill's been awful the last 2 games.
Yeah, I think something's wrong with his finger.
We're starting the excuses because you like him.
No. Just I could say at halftime yesterday.
Was he like 1 for his last 20?
Well, even more discouraging than that. Hold on, I made a note of it. So he came out early from halftime yesterday. Mm-hmm. Sam Merrill just warming up. He went 10 of 22 on unguarded threes.
In practice?
Like before the start of the second half.
Okay.
That
you were keeping track of that. Look at you.
He was the only one out there. There was no halftime show yesterday.
Yeah.
Sam Merrill should be making like 20 of 22 threes. Right. I've seen Sam Merrill make 22 of 22 when he comes out.
So maybe there is something going on with him.
Something with his finger feels off, because these are now back-to-back games, Bull. Hasn't been able to
can't do anything.
Shot. And it has some good looks. These aren't all contested.
Right.
I'm a little concerned, some with the finger to me. I'm just keeping an eye on it, but 10 of 22 uncontested at half, not a great sign for Sam.
What are you uncontested?
What am I uncontested?
Yeah, out of 22 shots.
I feel like I can make 15, 16.
He's
buying that?
He's under Mike.
Sam should never go 10 of 20, and unless he's hurt, which very well could be. Sam's way too good of a shooter to go 10 of 22.
Boy, you think you can make 15 of 22 and NBA 3?
No.
Like, you just go out on the court. And by the way, like, there's the pressure of people watching and all that stuff.
You want me to film 22 threes on Thursday night when I go play pickup?
What's that?
You want to film myself shooting 22 threes?
I mean, that's not an NBA 3, is it?
No, I wasn't thinking NBA. I'm not making 15 to 16 NBA.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, man,
14. I'll give myself 14 NBA threes.
By the way, man, one less. Shooting. We played at the time. It was Gund Arena. We played up here in high school, and people don't be understanding. Depth perception is a whole different thing in NBA arenas. When you shooting threes with no backdrop, you shooting.
It's funny. Michael know this for playing D3, and although I don't know if in your conference this experience, but
there was
the games. The conferences I worked in, worked for 2 different schools calling D3 basketball, right? And we would play, D3 basketball gyms are like a high school gym, basically, in most cases, right? so it's a small gym. And then, like, the conference tournament, especially with one league I was in, we would play at this hockey arena that was like a 4,000 or 5,000 seat arena. And so they'd put a basketball court down, and you'd have and the first day, nobody could make a shot. Nobody.
I'll give you real quick. I'll give you a more recent example.
Yeah.
Tyrese Proctor.
Yeah.
Played with the Charge last week.
Right.
It was Tuesday night last week, I believe he played. Started the game 0 for 6. Finished the game with 29 points. Made 11 of his last 13 shots.
Yeah.
He was with the Cavs the next day, and I was like, "Hey, Tyrese, like what? Hell of a game." And he goes, "It took me an entire 10 minutes to figure out the depth." Because they're playing at Public Hall, the old concert venue.
Right.
Where one half has a backdrop.
It is weird when that's like that. It's so bizarre for the players.
It genuinely makes a difference if you're not used to it.
It's like the second hardest thing in the world. I actually put that second. Now hooping outside with wind and on a double rim, if you hitting jumpers outside, you elite. You are.
Grew up hoity-toity. He didn't play outside.
Them double rims outside.
If you hitting on a double rim, you elite.
You are you can't hit the backboard.
You can't hit nothing but the net.
Like,
gotta go
there wouldn't even be like a net.
It would be. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It would just be like, dude.
Or there'd be like the chain net.
Yeah, the chain.
Now hold on.
I love the chain net.
Shut up.
Because when you shoot a hard net on them chains,
hey, bro, listen.
That sound.
That sound like when somebody decide to give you their phone number and you didn't think you was gonna get it. And be like, can I get your number? And they be like, man, I already gave it to you. You be like, what? Already got it in there. when you hit that jumper and them nets and them chains hit, it's worth more points.
It's great.
It's like worth 4 points. It's 4 points because you deflated.
Sometimes the net is like ripped and it comes out the side and you're arguing about whether it went in or not.
And you shooting good.
Yeah.
Good. Boy. Some of y'all young boys don't even know playing 21 or 33 and pick up. And y'all don't even know what it feel like to be on the playground and tell somebody, get off the sticks, man. Y'all gotta wait for
one guy calling fouls. You'd be like, shut up.
He's always, hold ball. What you mean you always holding ball?
33 and you scored 32. It's like, gotta go back.
Gotta go back.
Last thing in the game, though, we'll get out. So 29,000 points for Harden.
Right.
Can you name the other 7?
Sure can.
Other 8, NBA players.
Sure.
Kareem.
I said 11, real quick. I said 11 at first. That includes the ABA.
We're
taking those guys out.
Kareem.
LeBron.
Kareem.
Correct.
Karl Malone.
Correct. That's 1, 2, 3.
Michael.
Yep.
Michael. Kobe.
Yep. That's the top 5.
Kevin Durant.
That's the top 6.
That's the top 6.
Dirk Nowitzki.
Yep.
That's the top 7.
Yep.
You're missing one more?
You missing one?
So
the numbers are all skewed because of the threes now.
The next one's an old guy. It's
Larry Bird.
Not Larry Bird.
Nah, he was hurt.
Wilt.
That is number 8.
Oh, yeah, we should have known. And that was with no threes.
Yeah, and then, so Kevin Durant got to be in the top.
He in there.
And Kareem
6.
did it with no. I mean, did Kareem? How many threes did Kareem have?
Never.
In his whole career?
Yeah.
I can tell you
0.
right now. Hold on.
Probably. I mean, think about all the points he scored.
0.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the most underrated player in the history of
Guess
the
how many
league.
threes Kareem had in his career?
1.
Correct.
1?
Guess how many he took in his entire career?
7.
3.
18.
Oh.
Kareem was so dominant that they changed the dunk. He can't even dunk because of
most underrated player ever.
He had a
maybe in any sport.
Move.
Yeah,
him and Dirk both had a move. That was just like unguardable.
Shaq is somewhere on that list.
Underrated?
No, I mean points.
Oh, yeah. I don't
Shaq has the 10th most points of all time, by the way.
So we didn't ran off the top 10.
How many threes did Shaq hit in his career?
Oh,
I can tell you.
0.
No. Shaq had in his entire career, that's per game, I need the totals. Shaq had 1 3 as well. Who had a higher 3-point percentage?
I'm going to say Kareem.
Shaq.
Shaq was 1 of 22. Kareem was 1 of 18.
That's crazy.
That must have felt good when he
I
hit
would
that.
love to see what Shaq hit.
I think Shaq was 1 of 22 from the line.
Close.
What's his career? What was his career free throw percentage?
First career?
Yeah.
33%.
No.
Shaq.
Like 55?
42.
53.
That's just pathetic.
I think there's an outside chance. Is there an outside chance that LeBron James is first in scoring, top 5 in assists, and top 20 in rebounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's already.
I'm about to say he probably there.
He
now.
already got.
He's number 1 in scoring.
He's
I
like
gotta
third in
change.
assists, ain't he? Fourth.
He's never going to catch Stockton for first in assists. I
No,
don't think,
Chris
right?
Paul is the closest, I think, and he ain't catching them.
Yeah,
I think
Mark Jackson.
I feel
third.
like he like fourth in assists already.
He might. If he top 5
Is he
in
past
assists.
Jason Kidd?
If he top 5 in assists, this is disgusting.
Is he past Magic and Jason Kidd?
He's 4th in assists
Oh, I was right.
behind John Stockton, Chris Paul, and Jason Kidd.
Can he catch Chris Paul?
So he caught Magic.
He'll finish his career 2nd.
That's just crazy.
He's got. He'll definitely pass Jason. He's 200 assists away from Jason Kidd. He's 700 from Chris Paul. Probably won't catch Chris Paul.
How many is he? No, he might get 700 more
rebound.
assists.
Now I think he has more rebound. I think he might have more rebounds than David Robinson.
I'm putting up the all-time
Probably played a
rebounds
lot
list.
longer.
Yeah, rebounds lit. Can he be
David
top
Robinson
20?
how old was David Robinson when he was a rookie? 23?
Yeah.
Oh, he will 100% pass. He'll crack the top 20. Probably won't get any higher than. If he plays one more season, I think he could get to number 18.
Who's the all-time leader? Moses Malone?
Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, you ain't stopping that.
Where's Rodman on there?
Seventh.
He might got more rebounds than Rodman.
Seventh.
Dennis Rodman.
He might got more rebounds than Rodman.
You don't think Rodman's top 20 in rebounds?
LeBron's 23 currently. Dennis Rodman's 24.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
By the way, he has more steals than Scottie Pippen.
I mean, at that point, it's a longevity thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's
That's wild work.
It is wild work.
If you gonna say I got more assists than Stockton.
Well, not Stockton.
What
Mark Price.
The Mark Price. I got more steals than Pippen.
I got more assists than Magic.
More assists than Magic. More rebounds than Dennis Rodman. And I scored more points than Michael.
And more steals than Pippen.
That's crazy.
And more blocks than who?
And by the way, I got more playoff 3-pointers than anybody but Steph Curry.
Yeah, how far ahead is Steph Curry? Must be very far ahead, right? No? I don't know.
He's second all time in 3-point made in the.
Oh, LeBron?
Yeah.